Welcome to the Deep Dives. Today we're strapping on our virtual tool belts, so to speak,
Hmm.
and we're heading into the often fascinating, sometimes financially tricky world of property rehab.
Definitely tricky sometimes.
Yeah, and we're not just talking about, slapping on a coat of paint. We want to dig deep into how you actually maximize value
Yeah.
and, really importantly, your return on investment, your ROI.
That's exactly it. I mean, lots of people can renovate, right? But doing it strategically so you actually see those financial gains, that takes a bit more know-how.
Right.
So we'll be digging into the insights from that article by Obsidian A. Freeman, The Ultimate Guide to Rehabbing Properties, to kind of lay out a clear roadmap for you.
And our mission here is really to pull out the absolute must-know steps, the key things to think about if you're even considering a rehab project.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're aiming for a quick flip or maybe creating a really solid rental property that, attracts great tenants, we want to arm you with the knowledge to approach it strategically with a laser focus on the numbers.
It's so easy to get swept up in the vision, isn't it? You see a distressed property, you imagine the after photos.
Oh, yeah.
But if you don't have that rock-solid grasp on the financials driving it, you could be looking at, a very expensive lesson learned. We're here to help you sidestep those common pitfalls.
Okay, let's unpack this then. The article starts by looking at renovating specifically for value and appeal. And it makes this really critical distinction right away.
Yes.
Every single improvement you make, it needs a goal, either boosting the resale price or making the place irresistible to good renters.
Absolutely. This isn't just about, putting in the countertop you love. It's market-driven. What do buyers or renters in this specific area actually want and pay for?
And the article points to some key areas that seem to consistently deliver a big impact.
Right. Kitchens, for one.
The kitchen. Always.
Yeah, the guide talks about modernizing, like stainless steel appliances, which seems standard now, updated countertops, fresh cabinets.
It almost feels like table stakes these days, doesn't it? If the kitchen's dated, it's a huge mental hurdle for people.
It really is. Buyers, renters, they see dollar signs and hassle. Same goes for bathrooms, new vanities, modern fixtures, maybe some updated tile. Not always the most glamorous work, maybe?
No, but important.
But they say a lot about the overall care and quality of the property.
And it's not just the inside, is it? The guide mentions curb appeal, too. Fresh paint outside,
Right.
cleaning up the landscaping, maybe a nice front door. That first impression.
Huge. It sets the whole tone before they even step inside. You want that positive feeling right away.
Right.
And then there's something else that's increasingly important. Energy efficiency. Things like better windows, insulation, efficient appliances.
Which hits two birds with one stone, right?
Right.
It appeals to people who care about sustainability, sure, but it also means lower utility bills.
Exactly. That's a tangible benefit for anyone living there, a real selling point.
Yeah, definitely.
And the article also mentions value adds, thinking about spaces like basements or attics.
Oh, like converting them?
Yeah, maybe adding a bedroom, a bathroom, a home office space. If you can functionally expand the square footage or usability, that can significantly boost value.
Okay, so lots of great ideas for what to do. But here's where I think a lot of projects go sideways. The budget.
Mm-hmm. The money.
The article flags underestimating rehab costs as a super common mistake.
Why do you think that happens so often? Just like over-enthusiasm?
Well, enthusiasm is part of it, sure, but often it's inexperience with actual material and labor costs. People forget about permits or, what happens when you open up a wall and find unexpected plumbing issues.
Right. Hidden surprises.
Hidden surprises.
Oh.
And disposal costs. Getting rid of the old stuff costs money, plus delays cost money through holding costs, mortgage, taxes, insurance ticking away.
That makes total sense. So the guide gives steps for building an accurate budget. Step 1, a really thorough inspection. And it specifically says hire a pro. Is that initial cost really worth it? Oh, absolutely. It's probably some of the best money you'll spend up front. A good inspector spots the big potential budget busters, structural things, major electrical plumbing problems before you're committed and halfway through demolition.
So it's about reducing that risk.
Exactly. De-risking the project.
Okay. Then the article talks about categorizing the work, like cosmetic stuff, paint, flooring versus major repairs, roof, foundation, HVAC, and then optional upgrades like high-end finishes. How does breaking it down like that help?
It forces you to prioritize major repairs affecting safety and function. Non-negotiable. You have to do those first.
Got it.
Cosmetic stuff improves appeal, but you have flexibility there on cost and scope. Optional upgrades. You only do those if the budget allows and if your market analysis shows they'll actually give you a return. It directs your spending.
And that leads right into getting multiple quotes from contractors, right? Which isn't just about finding the cheapest price, is it?
No, definitely not. Multiple quotes give you a baseline for fair market rates, yes, but you're also vetting the contractors. Are they professional? Do they communicate well? Check their references. Are they licensed and insured? Hugely important.
You're looking for a partner, really.
You are. Someone reliable, not just the lowest number.
And then the contingency fund, everyone talks about it. The article suggests 10% to 20%. Is that a pretty solid range?
It's a good rule of thumb. Maybe lean towards the higher end, like 15% or 20% if it's an older property or seems like it might have more unknowns.
Because there probably will be unknowns.
There almost always are. It's not just having the money set aside, it's having the flexibility to deal with issues properly when they top up instead of cutting corners later that could cost you more.
Right, okay. So budget's set, contingencies in place.
Yeah.
Then the guide really hammers home tracking every expense. Religiously.
Yes. You absolutely have to.
How do people do that effectively? Spreadsheets, apps?
Both work. There are good budgeting apps or a detailed spreadsheet. The key is breaking costs down into categories, materials, labor per trade, permits, miscellaneous stuff like dumpsters, and then you have to monitor it like weekly. Catch overspending early before it gets out of hand.
It sounds meticulous but essential.
It absolutely is.
Because all this work, all this budgeting, it leads to the big question. Is it actually going to pay off? Is the ROI there?
Exactly. Rehabbing isn't just about making something pretty. It's a financial calculation. You need to align the spending with the expected return.
So let's talk about calculating that return. First, for flipping a property.
Okay.
Step one is estimating the ARV, the after repair value. The guide says research comps. What does that really involve? Just looking at Zillow?
No, not quite that simple. You need to look at sold comparables properties similar in size, location, and importantly, condition after their renovation that have actually sold recently, usually in the last 3-6 months.
Okay, sold comps.
And you need to make adjustments. Maybe your place has one less bathroom than a comp or a slightly smaller yard. You have to realistically adjust the comp sale price down or up to match your subject property. It takes some analysis.
Gotcha. So once you have a solid ARV estimate, you subtract all the costs. Purchase price, the full rehab costs, holding costs, mortgage taxes, insurance, utilities during the work, and then selling costs like agent commissions, closing fees, everything.
The whole picture. Get that total cost number.
And then the ROI formula for a flip is?
It's your ARV minus your total costs. That gives you your profit. Then divide that profit by your total costs, multiply by 100, and that's your ROI percentage.
Okay, so the example they give, $200 K purchase, $50 K rehab, $10 K holding, $15 K selling costs, total costs, $275K. If the ARV is $300K.
Right. The profit is $25K. So $25,000 divided by $275,000 times 100. That's about 9.1% ROI.
Which the guide calls modest. What does that really mean in practice?
Well, 9.1% isn't terrible, but you have to weigh it against the time, the effort, the stress, and the market risk involved in a flip. If it was a quick, easy flip in a rising market, maybe okay. If it took 6 months and the market was shaky, maybe not worth the risk for that return. It really highlights why accurate estimates up front are so critical.
Makes sense. Now, switching gears to rentals, the ROI calculation is different, right? More about ongoing income.
Exactly. With a rental, the main goal is cash flow. So first, you estimate how much more rent you can get after the rehab. Again, research comparable rental rates for similar updated properties in the area.
Okay, the potential rent bump.
Then you calculate your cash flow. That's the new higher rent minus all your monthly operating expenses, mortgage principal and interest, property taxes, insurance, maybe property management fees, and you have to budget for vacancies and ongoing maintenance too.
Right, the net income per month or year.
And for rentals, a common metric is cash on cash ROI. You take your annual cash flow, that net income over 12 months, and divide it by your total initial investment.
And the initial investment there includes the purchase price plus all the rehab costs.
Correct. Your total cash out of pocket to acquire and fix up the property. Divide annual cash flow by that total investment, multiply by 100.
So the example, $40,000 in rehab leads to a $500 per month rent increase. That's $6,000 a year.
Right. So $6,000 annual cash flow increase divided by the $40,000 rehab investment.
Times 100 is 15%.
Which the guide calls an excellent return.
Why is 15% cash on cash considered so good for a rental?
Because it signifies strong performance. For every dollar you put into the rehab, you're getting 15 cents back annually in cash flow. Plus, you still have the potential for appreciation and loan pay down over time. That's very attractive for long-term investors.
So different calculations, different goals, flip versus rent, but the core idea is the same. You got to crunch the numbers before you swing that hammer.
Absolutely. It has to be a financial decision first, an aesthetic one second. Understanding these ROI numbers is just fundamental.
Okay, the guide finishes with some really practical pro tips. The first one jumps out. Don't over-improve. How do you know if you're going too far?
The main sign is when your planned finishes are way nicer, way more expensive than anything else in the immediate neighborhood. Putting, like, imported Italian marble in a starter home neighborhood.
Yeah, probably not getting that money back.
Exactly. Buyers or renters in that area likely won't pay the premium for it. You have to match the improvements to the market level.
Match the market. Okay, next tip. Prioritize essential repairs over cosmetic ones. Seems obvious, but
But people get excited about the pretty stuff. You have to fix the leaky roof before you install the granite countertops. Foundation issues, bad wiring, old plumbing, fix those fundamentals first. Otherwise, the cosmetic stuff is just lipstick on a pig, and serious buyers or inspectors will see right through it.
good point. Functionality first. Then, knowing local regulations and getting permits. Why is this so critical? People tempted to skip it.
Sometimes, yeah, to save time or money, big mistake. It can lead to fines, stop work orders, having to tear out finished work. Plus, unpermitted work can cause major problems when you try to sell or even insure the property later. Just get the permits.
Hmm. Play by the rules. Okay? And working with reliable contractors, we touched on vetting them earlier. Anything else there?
Just reiterate. Check reviews, call references, confirm license and insurance. Good communication is key too. A solid contractor is worth their weight in gold on a rehab project.
Definitely. And finally, monitor market trends. How does the bigger picture affect a specific rehab?
Well, if the overall economy is slowing down or the local housing market seems to be cooling off, you might want to be more conservative with your rehab budget and your ARV estimate.
Right, you don't want to be caught overinvested if prices start to drop.
Exactly. Being aware of the broader trends helps you make smarter decisions about scope, timing, and pricing.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive on rehabbing, it really boils down to that blend of having a vision but grounding it firmly in financial reality. Focus on those high-impact renovations. Budget meticulously, track everything, and always connect the costs back to the potential ROI, whether it's a flip or a rental.
And remember, those pro tips don't overdo it for the neighborhood. Fix the serious stuff first, follow the rules, pick good partners, and keep an eye on the market.
Yeah, it seems like taking that strategic, analytical approach really boosts your chances of turning that, diamond in the rough into a genuinely profitable investment.
That's the goal. Strategy over just spending.
So thinking about all this, what specific aspect of truly understanding your local market, maybe going beyond just the sole comps, might hold the biggest overlooked opportunity to really juice your rehab ROI? Something to chew on as you plan your next project. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.